Welcome all in class 20 on electromagnetic theory. So in this class we will discuss about Maxwell's equations in integral and in differential form. So Maxwell's first equation is basically Gauss law in electrostatics. And as per the Gauss law, the total electrical flux phi linked with a closed surface S in closing charge Q can be obtained by taking the integral of electrical field over the surface S, and which when computed comes out to be Q by epsilon naught, where Q is the total charge enclosed by the surface. If charge Q is distributed uniformly on some volume having volume charge density rho, then the total charge enclosed by the surface can be represented as the integral of rho over the volume V. So the total flux, which is equal to Q by epsilon naught, can be obtained by integrating rho over volume V divided by epsilon naught. So if we rearrange this equation, then we can write it that epsilon naught E dot ds is equal to charge Q. So the quantity epsilon naught E is called electrical flux density and is represented by D. So we can write it like that surface integral of D is equal to charge Q, which can also be written as integral of rho over volume V. So this equation, that is integral of d over ds is equal to q, total charge enclosed in the surface, is known as Maxwell's first equation in integral form. Further, this equation can also be written as that by using divergence theorem we can convert surface integral into the volume integral, and we obtain that divergence of d over volume v is equal to charge q, and which is equal to integral of rho over volume v. So by equating from here we get that divergence of D is equal to rho. So here D is electrical flux density and rho is the volume charge density. So divergence of D is equal to rho is known as Maxwell's first equation in differential form. Next is about Maxwell's second equation. Maxwell's second equation is basically Gauss law in magnetostatics. So in magnetostatics we come across with magnetic lines, and magnetic lines are always continuous lines. That is, magnetic lines do not have source or sink, unlike electrical lines. So basically electrical lines start from positive charge and terminate on negative charge or on infinity. However, magnetic lines do not start or end at some point. They are continuous. For example, if we take the example of magnet, then in magnetic lines starts from north pole to the south pole external to the magnet, and magnetic lines move from south pole to the north pole in internal to the magnet. So magnetic lines are basically continuous lines. they do not start or they do not end at some point. Due to continuous nature, we can say that magnetic field is solenoidal. That is, as many magnetic lines enter a volume, the same number of lines leave the volume. So it can be mentioned that the surface integral of magnetic flux density B around a closed surface is always equal to 0. So mathematically this statement can be written as that closed surface integral of magnetic flux density B over the surface S is equal to 0, and this equation is known as Maxwell's second equation in integral form. Further, by using Gauss divergence theorem to convert surface integral into the volume integral, we can write this equation as divergence of B over volume V is equal to 0, or we can say that divergence of B is equal to 0. So this is Maxwell's second equation in differential form. So next we come across with Maxwell's third equation. Maxwell's third equation is basically Ampere's circuital law, which states that the line integral of magnetic field H around any closed path is exactly equal to current enclosed by the path. In order to derive Ampere's circuital law, let us suppose we have a conductor and current I is flowing through this conductor. The magnetic field at point P, which is at radial distance r from the conductor, can be computed by using that magnetic field at point B is equal to mu I upon 2 pi r. So integrating B around a closed path of radius r enclosing the conductor once will give that integral of B over length dl is mu I upon 2 pi r over length dl, and for a circle with radius r, the total length dl becomes 2 pi r. So we can say that integral of B over a closed line is equal to mu I, as B is related with H by using B is equal to mu naught H. So we can also write this equation as integral of H over closed line L is equal to current I. Now it is might possible that in spite of conductor, current is flowing in some surface having current density dj in infinite small area ds, then I can be expressed as I is equal to integral of j over surface S, or we can say that integral of h over closed line L is equal to I, which is equal to integral of current density J over the surface S. One thing to remember in this equation is that the plane of produced magnetic field due to current I is perpendicular to the direction of current I. For example, in the slide shown, if we suppose that current is flowing in z direction, then the plane of magnetic field is xy plane. So xy plane is perpendicular to z direction. So if current is flowing in z direction, so magnetic field produced is along xy plane. That is, the produced magnetic field has either B x component or having B y component. However, B z component is always equal to 0. Now, from we have already discussed and obtained that integral of h over length L is equal to current encroached by the path, which is integral of current density J over the surface S. Now we are using Stokes theorem to convert surface integral to line integral. For example, here the current I is J dot ds, which is equal to H dl, that is integral of H over line L. So H dot dl by using Stokes theorem can be written as, that is by converting line integral into the surface integral using Stokes theorem, we can write that H dl is integral of curl of H over the surface S, which is equal to current I and which is equal to integral of J ds. So after equating, we can write that curl of H is equal to J, where J is current density. However, this equation, that is curl of H is equal to J, is not complete, because if we take divergence of this equation on both sides, that is if we take divergence of this equation on both sides, we obtain that divergence of curl of H is equal to divergence of J. Divergence of curl of H is equal to divergence of J. Now divergence of any curl is always equal to 0. That is del cross H is equal to 0, which states that divergence of J is always equal to 0. That is, net current flow from the surface is always equal to 0. There is no source or sink of current, which is violation of equation of continuity, which states that divergence of J is equal to minus curly upon curly T of rho. So this is basically the continuity equation, where J is the current density and rho is the volume charge density. So we can say that the equation, that is curl of H is equal to J, is incomplete. So in order to complete this equation, we need to take help of continuity equation, which is del dot J is equal to minus curly rho upon curly T. So this equation, which is of equation of continuity, can be rewritten as del dot J is equal to curly rho upon curly T, and this is equal to 0. We know from the Gauss theorem that del dot D is equal to rho, or D is basically epsilon naught into E. So instead of rho we can write it is del dot epsilon naught E by using Gauss theorem, or when rewritten this can be written as del dot J plus curly upon curly T of epsilon naught E is equal to 0, or it can also be written as del dot J plus curly D upon curly T is equal to 0, which concludes that although del dot J is not equal to 0, however del dot J plus curly D upon curly T is always equal to sorry, is always equal to 0. So the revised Maxwell's third equation becomes that it is not only that curl of H is equal to J, the revised Maxwell's equation becomes that curl of H is equal to J plus curly D upon curly T, because again if we take divergence on both sides then we get the same value, that is 0. So this is known as Maxwell's third equation in differential form. So next is about Maxwell's fourth equation. Maxwell's fourth equation is basically Faraday's law. So Faraday law states that whenever magnetic flux linked with a closed circuit changes, voltage is induced in the circuit and EMF induced in the circuit is equal to time rate of change of magnetic flux linking the circuit. That is, induced EMF is equal to minus of rate of change of electrical flux through the closed surface. Now the voltage V in terms of electrical field E can be rewritten as that V is equal to integral of E dot dl. Now equating these two equations we obtain that integral of electrical field over line L is equal to minus curly psi upon curly T. So again we know that the total magnetic flux linked with the surface can be obtained by integrating the magnetic flux density B over the surface S. So after rearranging we obtain that integral of E dot dl is equal to minus d by dt of, in spite of psi we are writing here as integral of b dot ds. So again by using Stokes theorem we can convert E dot dl from line integral to the surface integral, which will be written as the surface integral of curl of E dot ds is equal to d by dt of integral of b dot ds. So again by equating the terms from here we can write it that curl of E is equal to minus curly B upon curly T. So this equation is known as Maxwell's fourth equation in differential form, and integral of E over length L is equal to minus d psi by dt, or integral of E over dl is equal to minus d by dt of integral of b dot ds is called Maxwell's fourth equation in integral form. So in today's lecture we have discussed Maxwell's four equations in integral form as well as in differential form. So this is all what we want to discuss in today's class. Thank you.